Your mind is a fortress. Within its walls resides your most precious possession, your capacity for reason, your ability to choose, and your potential for unshakable inner peace. This is your inner citadel, the only true home you will ever have. It is the one place in the entire cosmos over which you can exercise absolute and total control. But in our modern world, this fortress is under constant siege. It is bombarded daily, hourly by a relentless barrage of external forces designed to breach its walls and plunder its tranquility. The endless noise of social media, the demand for external validation, the culture of outrage, the sting of disrespect from others, and the gnawing anxiety of an uncertain future. All of these are the barbarian hordes at your gates, yet our instincts in the face of this siege often betray us. We sally forth from our fortress to fight battles we cannot win. We allow the insults of others to become traitors within our own walls, opening the gates to anger and despair. We exhaust our precious energy trying to control the uncontrollable storm of outside events, leaving our inner kingdom undefended and in ruins. We become a leaf in the wind, tossed about by every stray opinion, every minor setback, every fleeting emotion. We forget that the fortress was never meant to conquer the storm, but to allow us to remain serene and powerful within it. But what if you possessed an ancient blueprint for not just defending, but for profoundly strengthening this inner citadel? What if you had access to a training manual for the mind, written not by theorists in comfortable academies, but by the true masters of resilience, emperors, slaves, generals, and statesmen, who navigated worlds far more chaotic and brutal than our own? This is the promise of Stoic philosophy. It is not a collection of comforting platitudes, but a rigorous, practical, and life-altering system for forging an unshakable mind. This is not a guide to changing the world, but to mastering yourself so that the world can no longer break you. This is the art of building a soul that is impervious to the ravages of fortune. The first and most foundational principle, the very bedrock upon which the entire Stoic citadel is built, is the mastery of what the Stoics called the dichotomy of control. This is the simple yet profoundly liberating understanding that some things in our lives are within our control and some things are not. To live a life of wisdom, purpose, and tranquility, one must learn to distinguish between these two categories with absolute clarity, and then dedicate 100% of their energy to the former while learning to accept the latter with a calm and rational indifference. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus, who began his life as a slave and rose to become one of the most revered teachers in the Roman Empire, taught that the chief task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters so that one can say clearly to oneself which are externals not under our control and which have to do with the choices we actually control. What then is within our control? The Stoics identified only a very small but incredibly powerful list of things: our own thoughts, our judgments about those thoughts, our intentions, our desires, and our actions. In short, our inner world is our exclusive domain, and what is not within our control. Absolutely everything else. We do not control the past or the future. We do not control the weather, the economy, or the political landscape. We do not control our health, our reputation, or our wealth, at least not entirely. And most critically for our daily peace, we do not control the actions, the thoughts, or the opinions of other people. We cause ourselves immense and unnecessary suffering by constantly trying to control these uncontrollable externals. We are enraged when someone is rude to us. We are anxious about what tomorrow may bring. We are desperate for the approval of people who may not even like us. We are, in essence, trying to command the wind and the rain, and then we are surprised and frustrated when they do not obey. A man who has not mastered this first principle is a man who is a slave to 1,000 different masters. Imagine an archer. She can control the quality of her bow and her arrows. She can control her posture, her breathing, her focus, and the precise moment of the arrow's release. These things are within her power, and she should dedicate herself to mastering them through diligent practice. But the moment the arrow leaves the bow, it is no longer under her control. A sudden gust of wind may blow it off course. The target might be flawed. An opponent might shoot a better shot. A wise archer understands this. She does her absolute best with what is in her power, the aiming and the release, and she accepts the outcome, whatever it may be, with grace and composure. She does not rage at the wind. She does not curse the target. She simply pulls another arrow from her quiver and focuses again on what she can control her next shot. This is the Stoic mindset. We must learn to be like the archer, focusing with laser-like intensity on our own actions and our own intentions while accepting the external outcomes with a peaceful detachment. This principle is not about passivity. It is not about giving up on our goals. It is about a strategic and intelligent application of our most limited resource, our energy. When you stop wasting your energy on trying to change the things you cannot change, you will have an incredible surplus of energy to dedicate to the things you can. This is the first and most liberating step on the path to Stoic freedom. You must conduct a ruthless inventory of your life. Make a list of all the things that cause you stress, anxiety, and emotional pain. And for each one, ask yourself the simple, honest question, is this truly within my control, or is it not? If it is not, then you must begin the difficult but necessary practice of letting it go. Once you have grasped the foundational principle of what you can and cannot control, you can move on to the second discipline, laying the foundation of your citadel through the mastery of your own perception. The Stoics taught that it is not the events themselves that disturb us, but our judgment about those events. The world is in and of itself neutral. It is our interpretation, our story, our judgment about what happens that assigns it a quality of good or bad. A stressful event like losing a job is not inherently a catastrophe. It is our judgment, this is a disaster, my life is over, that creates the suffering. Another person might look at the very same event and judge it differently. This is a challenging but exciting opportunity to find a new path. The event is the same. The judgment is what creates our reality. Your perception of the world is a direct reflection of your state of consciousness. This is where so much of our daily emotional turmoil comes from. Someone interrupts you in a meeting. The event itself is neutral. Sound waves entered the room while you were producing your own sound waves, but your judgment, he disrespected me, he thinks I'm unimportant, is what creates the feeling of anger and humiliation. A Stoic learns to practice what is known as cognitive distancing. This is the ability to observe their own thoughts and judgments from a distance without immediately identifying with them. When a provocative event happens and that first hot thought of anger or fear arises, the Stoic in training does not immediately accept it as truth. They pause. They take a step back mentally, and they examine the thought as if it were an object. They ask themselves, is this judgment true? Is it helpful? Is there another, more rational way to look at this situation? Let's imagine that two men, both working at the same company, are unexpectedly laid off. The first man, who is not trained in this discipline, immediately succumbs to his initial judgments. This is a catastrophe, he thinks. I'll never find another job. My family will be ruined. My life is over. These catastrophic judgments produce feelings of panic, of despair, of hopelessness. He is a victim of the event because he is a prisoner of his own perception. The second man, who has been practicing the Stoic discipline of perception, experiences the same event, but his response is radically different. He feels the initial sting of disappointment, of course, but he does not immediately assent to the judgment that this is a catastrophe. Instead, he observes his initial thoughts and begins to question them. Okay, he says to himself, I have lost my job. That is a fact. But is it a catastrophe? Or is it simply a change in my circumstances? Is it possible that this is an opportunity? I have been unhappy in this role for years. Perhaps this is the push I needed to finally start the business I have always dreamed of, or to find a career that is more aligned with my values. By consciously choosing a different judgment He completely transforms his emotional reality. The event has not changed, but his experience of it has. He is not a victim. He is an actor ready to respond to his new circumstances with courage and creativity. This is not a matter of naive positive thinking. It is a matter of rational, rigorous self-examination. It is about understanding that our emotions do not come from the outside world. They come from the stories we tell ourselves about the outside world. And we have absolute power over those stories. You must become the vigilant guard of your own mind. You must see your own work as if through the eyes of others and become your own worst, most constructive critic. When a negative or unhelpful thought arises, you must challenge it. When you feel the pull of your own ego, you must understand that your ego is scared of the truth, while your rational mind should be in pursuit of it. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If anyone can refute me, show me I'm making a mistake, or looking at things from the wrong perspective, I'll gladly change. It's the truth I'm after." By practicing this discipline of perception, you begin to build the very walls of your inner citadel, a fortress of reason that can protect you from the emotional storms of life. The third discipline required to forge an unshakable mind is the embrace of discomfort and hardship. This is the art of forging the steel of your character. Our modern culture teaches us to seek comfort, to avoid difficulty, and to view challenges as unfortunate impediments to our happiness. But the Stoics held a radically different and far more empowering perspective. They knew that growth and comfort cannot coexist. They understood that it is only through facing and overcoming adversity that we build true strength, resilience, and wisdom. The Stoic does not pray for an easy life. They pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. Discomfort is a wise teacher. Think about it in the most literal physical sense. To build muscle, you must subject your body to the stress of lifting heavy weights to the point of discomfort and fatigue. It is in the process of repairing this microscopic damage that the muscle grows stronger. The same is true for our character. It is only by facing our fears, by enduring our failures, and by pushing ourselves beyond our perceived limits that we can grow into a stronger, more resilient version of ourselves. The fragile person wants tranquility and shatters at the first sign of disorder. The anti-fragile person, the Stoic in training, actually grows stronger from that disorder. Life's three best teachers are heartbreak, an empty pocket, and failure. Do not shy away from these teachers. A life lived entirely within the comfort zone is a life of stagnation. As the Stoic would say, don't burn down the hut for heat. Tomorrow you'll be colder and without a hut. This is a warning against sacrificing long-term growth for temporary comfort and pleasure. The more time you actively spend in your discomfort zone, the more your comfort zone will expand. You must assume that life will be tough, and then ask yourself if you can handle it. If the answer is yes, then you have already won. This is the essence of the Stoic concept of amor fati, to love your fate, which is in fact your life. To not just accept, but to embrace everything that happens, the good and the bad, as if you had chosen it yourself. Life is a shipwreck, but we must not forget to sing in the lifeboats. We must find joy and meaning not in the absence of storms, but in our ability to navigate them with grace and courage. To put this into practice, you must learn to voluntarily seek out discomfort. Take cold showers. Do something you hate every day, not for the sake of masochism, but for the sake of building your discipline. Eliminate the unessential from your life. As the Stoics taught, the closer you are to the source, the less wastage there is. This hacking away of the unessential applies not just to your physical possessions, but to your habits, your relationships, and your thoughts. Learn to fail with pride and do so fast and cleanly. Maximize your trial and error by mastering the error part. Withstand the setbacks, the failures, the days of drudgery, and the hard work that are always a part of any creative or meaningful action. All greatness comes from suffering. that pain is neither intolerable nor everlasting if you bear in mind that it has its limits and if you add nothing to it in your imagination. It is not the pain itself, but your resistance to it that causes the true suffering. The fourth discipline is the mastery of your emotions, the art of being the guardian at the gate of your own mind. It is a common misconception that the Stoics were cold, emotionless beings who sought to suppress all feeling. This could not be further from the truth. The Stoics did not aim to eliminate emotion, but to understand it and to respond to it with reason. They knew that he who angers you conquers you. Any person capable of angering you becomes your master. By reacting in anger, they win, and you lose control of your own inner citadel. Good decisions are never made from a place of anger. When a person or a situation makes you feel that hot surge of rage, you must take a step away. You must subject your emotions to a cooling off period before you allow them to guide your major decisions. A better choice will always be made later, when your anger has subsided and your reason has returned to the throne. The best answer to another person's anger is often silence. It is a refusal to participate in their emotional storm. The goal is not to display your own anger or other emotions, but to be free of the grip of passion and yet to remain full of a rational, compassionate love for your fellow human beings, even when they act out of ignorance. Similarly, the Stoics taught that fear is the basis of all suffering. Both our desires and our anger are often manifestations of a deeper fear. But fear itself is a creation of your own mind. It does not exist independently in the world. Since it is a fabrication of your own judgments, you do not have to fight it. You simply have to understand it. Understanding is the key to freedom from fear. You must eliminate your fear by actively confronting the things you are afraid of. This does not mean you will be fearless. It means you will be courageous. As Seneca said, "I'm not asking you to be fearless, I'm asking you to be courageous." Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the ability to act virtuously in spite of it. This mastery of emotion is perhaps best captured in Viktor Frankl's profound words, "Everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's own attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way." Remember this quote in all situations. If you are angered, remember that you have the power to not let them steal your dignity. Your goodness, your character, cannot be taken away from you. This is why the Stoics also taught us to be tolerant with others, but to be incredibly strict with ourselves. We cannot control their actions, but we have absolute control over our own. The man who can reign within himself, who can rule his own passions, his own desires, and his own fears, is more powerful than any king. The fifth and final discipline is the commitment to a daily practice of living with virtue and purpose. An unshakable mind is not something that is achieved once and for all. It is something that must be built and maintained day by day through consistent, deliberate action. As the Stoics taught, progress is not achieved by luck or by accident, but by working on yourself daily. This daily practice involves several key components. First, you must be true to whoever or whatever you are, and you must wear that truth like a badge of honor. You should seek to fit in with one person, and one person only, your highest self. Do not be blinded by your own ego. Instead, when you are unsure how you should act or direct yourself, let the 4 Stoic virtues be your guide: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Second, you must recognize that you learn nothing when you speak. You only repeat to others what you already know. The key to wisdom is to listen and to observe. Can you truly listen to what people are saying? Can you seek to understand them and their actions without your own biases getting in the way? A wise man can learn more from a foolish question than a fool can learn from a wise answer. Third, you must use your time wisely. When you feel the pull of procrastination, you must first question yourself and your own actions. What is it that truly brings you fulfillment? Is it learning? Is it helping others? Is it teaching? Why then would you waste your precious non-renewable time on the things that do not? Focused attention is infinitely more valuable than an idle mind. In the morning, write down your goals for the day, the goals that if you complete them will leave you feeling accomplished. Then give these goals your undivided attention. Fourth, you must remember that the pain of discipline is far less than the pain of regret. You may feel like procrastinating, but you will not get this time back. You must use your time for self-improvement, for reflection, for education, and for helping others. You must also remember to be your own savior. Stop waiting for that someone, and be that someone. Your mistakes and your past circumstances do not define you, and they should not have control over your actions today. You can choose to do good now, and you can choose to be good now. And that is how you will be defined. Finally, you must remember that your mind is like a fire. Your thoughts and your actions are its fuel. Whatever you choose to feed this fire will grow. If you feed it with negative thoughts, with resentment, with fear, the flames of negativity will grow larger. If you change your self-talk from negative to positive, if you feed the fire with thoughts of courage, of kindness, of purpose, then slowly but surely the flames of negativity will die down, and a bright, steady fire of inner peace will burn within you. This is the mark of a perfected character, to spend each day as if it were your last, without frenzy, without laziness, and without any pretending. When you rise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love, and then live accordingly.